Hey guys, Jake here, and today I am here with Cash Gang Circuit quarterfinals of playoffs, and we have a very good matchup today. We have King L5 versus Iron Flash Gaming, also known as Zazo, best of three, of course, and they're starting with Sword and Shield. Actually, let me turn off the Gen 5 sprites for a bit, just in case some of you guys don't want that, and I'll refresh real quick. But very intense matchup here. Zazo versus L5. Um, uh, so, so, looking off the bat at this matchup, I'd say that the Sizzler honestly looks like a huge threat for Zazo. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a bullet punch resist on that Silvally because Cobalion is really the only bullet punch resist apart from Slowking, of course, which gets bopped. Let me check if that's a Mega Scizor. That is just a regular Scizor, which is way better for Zazo. As I honestly don't know how I'd beat a Mega Scizor, but yeah, that's besides the point. Rillaboom, if Zazo is able to remove the remove the Scizor though, Rillaboom looks like a big threat, and the Scizor does look pretty pressured, so maybe he'll have to go something like a helmet, like a helmet Scizor. Because besides that, Grassy Glide kind of goes ham. Urshifu also looks really annoying. I wonder if he's choiced because Wicked Blow obviously does catch the Cobalion, but if he bans it and he predicts the Cobalion on trying to switch in on a Wicked Blow, that would be really bad. Something like Chopple Bulk Up, I could also see L5 bringing, but look, off the bat, I'd say that this matchup looks in L5's favor. Comfy also looks like it can be pretty annoying if the Nidoqueen is able to get chipped. As for Zazo's end, I'm trying to think of what Silvally sets can go ham. I still think there's a good chance it'll be Silvally Fairy, which can help a bit with the Chomp, seeing as Chomp might not be able to run a EQ versus Rillaboom, and it's a Dragon immunity, and also good for the Urshifu. I wonder if L5 will pack some coverage such as Iron Head or Poison Jab on the Urshifu. The Galarian Slowbro is also very interesting, bring on L5's end. Looks pretty annoying for Zazo to break. Quite frankly, Rillaboom can probably do a ton with a knock, but besides that, definitely looks pretty annoying with Fat Regen. Might have Toxic or something to cripple Zazo's opposing Slowking. But yeah, this is of course the best of three. The winner of this will play Twix, who just beat Professor Chipboard in the quarterfinals, so that'll be semis, and then on the other end, the semis is Mayo versus Wombo. So definitely getting more and more intense as we go. So I think that starting with Gen 8 was honestly very smart on L5's end, considering how Zazo hasn't played much Gen 8 compared to Sun and especially Roras, which is Zazo's best gen. So he probably just wants to get the first game. He probably just wants to get the first game. He wants to be favored the first game as much as possible, which would definitely make sense. So L5 should pick his lead any second. He said he had to be right back for a bit. And okay, so he does lead off with the Chomp, as Zazo leads off with the Nidoqueen. So instant. Oh, it's a Mega Chomp, as it's a Sash, and he gets up the rocks. Okay, very interesting on Zazo's end. Because Sash lead Nido Queen makes him a bit weaker to Scizor and Comfy, because now he doesn't have a fairy resist, and also I don't see how rewarding the rocks are, because he still has he has three actually potential defoggers in the back, and he just clicks Poison Jab, makes sense, hits Silvally Fairy as well as Rillaboom. So I'm really curious as to what L5's thought process, or what Zazo's thought process was behind leading off with the Sash Rocks Nido Queen. I agree with L5's play to just attack it instead of setting up rocks, even if this is his only rocker. But I think if you're able to damage that potential Scizor and Comfy check so much, you go for it. So revenging this is also pretty problematic for Zazo. I'm not too sure if Mega Air's Ice Man kills, so yeah, he goes into Slowking, which most certainly has Ice Beam. But the thing is, L5 has many potential pivots into the Ice Beam, and EQ also does a lot, so he can't just click Scald or Teleport without much risk. Alright, yeah, so I wonder what the strong moveset would be, honestly. Okay, it probably has Dragon Stab of some sort, so it's not walled by Aerodactyl, is what I'm thinking. And Zazo also has Hatterene and Sceptile on the bench, so Poison Jab honestly hits pretty much everything else, but EQ Poison Jab would just leave this thing walled by Aerodactyl. Honestly, 3 attacks, either Dragon Claw or, which still does a million, or Rock Slide / Stone Edge, would make sense. I don't think he necessarily needs Swords Dance to break his team. Zazo just fires off a Scald. Pretty solid mid ground there. If he didn't get the Scald burn and L5 stayed in EQ, that would have been pretty problematic. But L5 goes into the Galarian Slowbro. Probably has Toxic of some sort to cripple the Slowking, as I said earlier. I'm going to be totally honest, I'm not too informed on what Galarian Slowbro does. I've seen it set up with Calm Mind, and also wall some stuff due to its natural bulk. They also don't really run Quick Draw from what I've seen, only really regen. Regardless, I feel even if Zazo's training, okay, he goes for the Future Sight, which is pretty interesting because I don't think that's Assault Vest damage from the I don't think that Scald damage revealed much like Assault Vest damage, so this might just be something to pressure switches, which definitely makes sense. As so this just goes into the Cobalion. I'm pretty sure there's not too much Slowbro can do to a Cobalion due to its natural bulk, but I'm interested to see how Zazo plans on breaking this. He also has to keep in mind that setting up is definitely risky now that the Feature Sight is on the field, as it can't just, it's not going to be as simple as perhaps SD twice and live 2 hits and then get a kill, because Future Sight will hit 2 turns later. Okay, as he goes for the Calm Minds, that is interesting. I definitely understand why he would go to this now, but he goes into the Garchomp. Is he gonna? So is this gonna be Magnet Rise on the Cobalion? I definitely would not be surprised. Calm Mind, Magnet Rise, Dual Stab definitely looks very threatening. I believe it just hits everything on L5's team. And I wonder what its item would be. Perhaps Lumberry, because it's not Air Balloon. This definitely makes a bit more sense as to why he's Sash lead Nidoqueen. He's clearly not, because he wasn't able to fit rocks on this setup Cobalion, nor the Aerodactyl. But yeah, honestly, I'd be very surprised to not see Magnet Rise right here. as it just as like L5 just has like little reason to run a fire move, unless he really did predict this air balloon slash magnet rise Cobalion. I mean, I guess, okay, he actually switches out as he goes for the Earthquake. Hard into Aerodactyl, and that Aerodactyl is going to take 1,000,000 from Future Sight. So is he really, so I guess he might just not be Magnet Rise, or even Shuckleberry. Shuckleberry was also a pretty good possibility. If he's Shuckleberry, I definitely understand that. Keeping the Cobalion is good for, this is for Bullet Punch resist, especially now that Nidoqueen is dead. I actually don't know if Cobalion got Aura Sphere. I'm gonna check. Okay, yeah, Cobalion didn't get Aura Sphere with the Gen A tutors. I just want to check that because a lot of mons got Aura Sphere, especially after DLC, but Cobalion was not one of them, which is kind of unfortunate. Focus Blast being Cobalion's only good special stab really discouraged. Oh, okay. So, damn. Zazo Stone is, I guess, predicting a switch, and that did not work out. I'm pretty sure Mega Chomp was an Ice Fang from full, so I'm not sure I really understand that play too much. However, maybe that does get the Mega Chomp closer in range to a +1 attack, +1 Focus Blast from the Cobalion next time it comes in, if it is able to set up again. But now that L5 knows it's Calm Mind Cobalion, he's able to play differently around it. Okay. Zazo just scalds again as L5 goes into, and they both throw off their own Future Sights. This Future Sight definitely looks more annoying to Zazo than it does to L5, just because of how it prevents setup, like because Zazo's clearly on the back foot here. Makes it harder for the Cobalion setup, makes it harder for the Rillaboom to come in, as Slowbro just goes for the shell sidearm. That is a tongue twister, and I believe that's just a poison attack. But Zazo's just gonna keep scalding, and he sacks the Galarian Slowbro. Definitely, I think that definitely makes sense. Looks pretty expendable at this point. Wasn't really walling the Rillaboom, assuming it has knock, and now he can go into a multitude of things to revenge this. And Mega Chomp also kind of goes ham now, because Rillaboom probably outsped, dies to Poison Jab. I don't think a Grassy Glide would kill a Mega Chomp at this range. Zazo doesn't have this Slowking to just live an EQ and threaten with an Ice Beam anymore. You can go to Urshifu, which I think you'd only do if he's Troupple Berry. You can also go into Scizor and perhaps U-turn out. You can also go into Rotom, maybe get a Defog off, as there's probably not much the Slowking can do. I wouldn't agree with that much, though, as it would potentially allow a Slowking to slack off up. Okay, he does go into Scizor, and yeah, probably just U-turn here. Don't want to let the Cobalion come in for free if he was like Choice or something, even though I don't think he is. And he actually does go hard into the Cobalion. Does nothing, of course. 4 times resistant Cobalion is bulky as hell. So Zazo trying to preserve the Slowking. I assume L5 goes into the Mega Chomp here, which can live any hit from the unboosted Cobalion, and that puts Zazo in a real pickle. He really doesn't have any switch-ins. He actually goes into the Rotom-Wash. This might be Thunder Wave or Wisp, or even Scarf Trick. Scarf Trick looks pretty good when there's an arrow, of course. We also see no lefties, and also on the Rotom, but we also see lefties on the Cobalion, so not Shuckleberry. As as damn, L5 just goes for the Thunderbolt, and Zazo goes hard into the Slow King. I think Zazo was trying to catch a Whisper or a T-Wave, and was trying to get a regen pivot in, but that wasn't enough. So Zazo just straight SDs as the Scissor comes in, likely the dedicated check plus superpower crits. I'm pretty sure that does matter, and holy fuck, damn. I've ran Scissor defensive Scissor versus Cobalion, or not Cobalion, versus Boom as well, and yeah, that definitely matters. Assuming he's full on defensive, that really sucks for L5. Perhaps if he's fast enough, a Draining Kiss into like a Life Orb Sucker Punch can kill. He can also still potentially stall at terrain. Yeah, one thing he can do is sack the 3 Mons, sack Urshifu, Rotom, and Comfy. Try and kill it that way. Then terrain will go up, and then terrain will run out. He can go into the Chomp, poison jab it, because poison jab this, and then try and win. But even then, I don't think that matters, because Zazu would probably just, regardless of the Soul Volley, he would go into that, bring this back in, Grassy Glide, and then because terrain would be up, he can't go into, or L5 wouldn't be able to kill the Cobalion in one hit with DQ. So he goes into the Urshifu, perhaps trying to pick it off with Sucker Punch. I think this would have to be banned or Life Orb to actually kill. And even then, like the route I said where he would sack these 3 Mons over here, I don't think it would work unless Zazo choked, because of how Zazo would be able to sack the Soul Volley, and nothing else can outspeed and resist a Grassy Glide. So he goes for the Sucker Punch, and yeah, that does absolutely nothing. And maybe that leaves it in range of like the Pixie Plate Comfy. I'm not entirely sure. If it doesn't, he can also sack the Rotom or the Chomp, and make it take another turn of recoil. But then it would also take, of course, it would get some grassy terrain. So it's only about a net damage of 4 each turn. And even then, if he tries to go with the win with Comfy, he'd probably need to already be set up in order to 1v1 that Cobalion. And it's also assuming that the Soul Volley isn't either offensive, which would do too much with multi-attack, depending on the type, or have Toxic or something, or even Swords Dance. I'm still leaning that's a Soul Volley Fairy, but I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure though, because then he perhaps would have tried to pivot in. Okay, he goes for the Rotom. I definitely think he is trying to get that net damage off and getting in range of Draining Kiss. Okay, he actually goes into the Chomp, and so he is indeed gonna go for this Comfy win. And I don't think it'll be able to do it. And even if this is Fat Comfy, it means that now that he switched out, when Rillaboom comes back in, it'll outspeed because of the priority it gets from Glassy Glide. Okay, so this will volley normal. Yeah, exactly. If this will volley had SD, it wasn't 1v1ing it. So Zazo does take game 1. Definitely pretty hacksy, clearly. L5 would definitely have the upper hand until that Rillaboom crit the Scizor. And that just meant L5 basically had to sack his whole team. So yeah, really unfortunate for L5. and now he's gonna pick a gen, and I'll be right back with game 2. Hey guys, we are back with game 2 of the Zazo versus L5 best of 3. And they decided to go with Gen 7, leaving Gen 6 for last. So if it does go to a game 3, it'll be in Zazo's best gen. But L5 is certainly no slouch at ORAS. Don't get me wrong. He played it during its prime, and also has played it in DPL before. So looking at this matchup, they're getting right into it. I know Zazo benched Azelf and Toxapex, and L5 benched, I believe, the Barrel and the what was it? Rabombi. So turn 1, they just trade rocks, and they're basically going to trade these rock sliders themselves. It is the Shuka Stunfisks for the Stug Trio directly, I reckon, and the Stug Trio is also going to Z managing to take out the Stunfisk. Trading, so both players managing to lead rocks. Definitely very interesting. Also, I believe that is not a Mega Scizor, by the way, and it is Mega Mawile on L5's end. But so I'd say rocks help L5 more because obviously there's a Salamence. But then again, like as on L5's end, he really doesn't have as good removal. Zazo has Stunfisk, Scizor, and I guess the Salamence as potential removal, and he has the Clef, which has Magic Guard. But regardless, taking out the Stunfisk, very nice for L5. Raikou definitely goes in now, even if it's something as specs. Doug Trio plus Raikou, definitely very good offensive synergy when Zazo's ground type was a Stunfisk. Honestly makes the matchup look pretty poor for L5. Or poor for Zazo, rather. Also, the Mega Mawile definitely goes in as well. Zazo will definitely need to be a more offensive team to not lose to this Mawile Raikou team. Zazo does have the Clef for the Hydreigon, and AV Mienshao is a potential pivot, but still definitely very threatening. As he goes into the Scizor, he might just take it out with a Bullet Punch right here. Yeah, he takes it out with a Bullet Punch, not wanting any memento shenanigans to happen. So now Zazo can go into, or L5 can go into whatever he wants. Hydreigon, Raikou, Mawile, all definitely possibilities. I'm leaning the Mawile, assuming it has Fire Fang. As even if Zazo wants to try and pivot around, okay, he actually goes to the Roserade, not bad. HP Fire, if it's offensive enough, should take out most Scizors, and Zazo really doesn't have a switch in. He might have potentially AV Mienshao, and like this Skuntank can come in. Or okay, he also lays up the spikes. Like this Skuntank can come in, but like as we see, if this is Black Sludge Roserade, he can't really threaten it that much. And I wonder if this will beat this Bog Skuntank, meaning, which would basically mean that Zazo lost it. Zazo really got not much out of his Stunfisk besides getting the Doug Trio burnt and weakened, but goes for the crunch. R5 goes hard into the Hydreigon. If this is like a Life Orb Hydreigon, it is a huge threat. Clef is like a roll to be 2 KO'd by Flash Cannon, and Flash Cannon is honestly not that high risk from L5 right now. Stunfisk or Skuntank is not the strongest Pokemon. Poison Jab will not be threatening it that much if this is like Life Orb with Roost. It would be pretty bad if L5 perhaps Flash Cannon and Skuntank stayed and got the poison while Poison Jabbing, because this is most likely a Spit F Skuntank for the Roserade. And that crunch probably didn't seem to do offensive damage with the crit. Yeah, Zazo probably tried making a mid-ground play there, and it did not quite work out. Draco, Zazo or L5 got him with a good mix-up there. As I'm not sure if that's specs damage against AV Mienshao. Let me check real quick. Mienshao is all best. There's the ray gun. Yeah, if that's AV Mienshao, that definitely would seem to be only specs. Only specs Hydreigon would be able to do that, but Zazo does take the opportunity to go into the and he drops in a special Draco of himself, Life Orb this time. I honestly, right off the bat, I agree with this Ring Rise Zazo. It looks way better than a Dragon Dance Salamence against Slowbro and Mega Mawile. And he really doesn't have like a fair Zazo's or L5's fairy type is Rabombi, which doesn't like taking a Life Orb Fire Blast, which this most certainly is. So I'm not sure if he would have Earthquake right here, but if he does, probably click that. He might have it for the Raikou, even though Raikou still threatens it. Let's see, did he click Earthquake? That's pretty risky because if Zazo did have Earthquake, then his best mon would essentially be gone. But now this Raikou is, as I mentioned earlier, this Raikou is a huge ass threat. No electric resists, as Zazo just goes hard into the Skuntank, and that Volt Switch does a good chunk. I'm not quite sure if that's specs, because we don't really know the Skuntank spread too much. But regardless, this Raikou claims to kill not sure if it necessarily claims to kill every time it comes in, depending on the clef set. But if this is Calm Mind, definitely looking very grim for Zazo. We do know that it isn't Z, because Dugtrio, of course, was Z. But now I think L5 can honestly go into his Hydreigon. Going into a Choice Mon might not be the play, but I'm not really sure what's better that he can go into. Maybe he can go Slowbro and try and pivot out to get some regen back. Mawile might be outsped and take a ton from Fire Blast. I don't think Roserade will be able to do much, and it would take a crunch. We shall see. Hydreigon should be able to click Flash Cannon, I guess. Zazo could make a risky play and go Scizor, predicting a Flash Cannon, but then again, if L5 would just click like Flamethrower, which also kills, or Dark Pulse, it would be very bad. Because like L5 doesn't really need to catch the Clef here. He has the Roserade and the Mawile in the back, which both capitalize, assuming it's not like fast Life Orb Clef. So yeah, I'd say L5 should probably click Flamethrower or Dark Pulse if he has it, assuming Specs Dark Pulse kills a Skuntank from this range, as it does a ton to both Skuntank and the Scizor, and it puts a bit of pressure on the Clef. And on Zazo's end, I personally think he should just sack the Skuntank here, as it's not really doing that much this low. I'm struggling to see how Zazo wins this game. Perhaps if L5 lets the Mawile take damage, then an SD Scizor can pull it back, because L5's other Bullet Punch resists are Slowbro, which is low and might die to a knock, and Raikou, which is chipped and probably dies to a +2 Bullet Punch. But I don't see L5 doing that. L5 is a very consistent player who rarely chokes, especially in tour settings where he thrives the most. But we shall see. L5 might be able to put on some pressure with a Clef, force L5 to sack a few mons, and then be able to pull out a win with the Scizor. But even then, setting up is very difficult for Zazo, because the Scizor is taking rocks and spikes, because getting these hazards off looks very unlikely, and Roserade likely has HP Fire. If you set up on Slowbro, it might Flamethrower or T-Wave, or Slack Off, and if you have Knockoff as your best move to hit Slowbro, then that might not kill. Hydreigon clearly has Flamethrower. I don't think L5 will lock into Splash Cannon or Draco because of the Scizor, and Mawile likely has Fire Fang, and Raikou does a good chunk as well. So, yeah, I definitely, I'm struggling to see how Zazo can bring this game back. The Salamence can claim a kill next time it comes in, that's for sure, but then it just gets revenged by the Raikou or the or the or even the Monwell can come in once it's -2 special attack because it is Draco. Yeah, with the position L5's in, I definitely think either Flamethrower or Dark Pulse is his play. He just has 2 things to capitalize on the Clef. And Draco is just never the play when he has a Scissor and Clef in the back, and the Skuntank should die to Specs Dark Pulse. Or maybe this isn't even Specs, and it wasn't an AV Mienshao, which is also a possibility. It was just like a Life Orb or Scarf Mienshao, meaning Draco always already took it out. Alright, he just goes for the Sucker Punch as, yeah, L5 does click Flamethrower. I agree with that play from L5's end. Zazo just trying to get any last ditch damage he can on the Hydra. Maybe it's in range of Scissor or Bullet Punch now. I'm not quite sure. It probably depends on the attack investment. But that does mean Hydra can only come in on rocks 2 more times. Even though I don't think that matters too much. But yeah, this does, of course, invite in the Salamence. It would be nice if, I was about to say, it would be nice if Zazo can roost up here, preserving the longevity and keep this outrated Sucker Punch from off pile. But, sacking off the Slowbro definitely makes sense. Didn't allow the Salamence to pull out some shenanigans, and definitely looks expendable when this already revealed to be Life Orb Special Salamence. And Scissor and Clef likely both can deal with that Slowbro. L5 has a couple options here. This could still be a mixed, still could be a mixed Salamence, so Roserade might not be the best play. It would be pretty unfortunate if like a Salamence went for a Life Orb Dragon Claw. Could go into the Mawile. I believe that it should always eat a Life Orb Fire Blast, even though Mawile Special Book is really bad. Then again, that could leave you vulnerable to an SD Scizor. And if that SD Scizor was able to live a hit from something like the Raikou or get Healing Wished up, then that could be pretty problematic if we were able to get an SD up if Monwell took a Life Orb Fire Blast. So if it's HP Ice Raikou, I'd say that's probably his best play because. Obviously kills, and he can Volt Switch out on the 2 other mons. I'm gonna calc real quick if that's Specs Raikou. I really don't think it is, but... Okay, so if it's Max Spadef Skuntank, then it actually would have to be Specs Raikou to do that much damage. If it is Specs Raikou, then if T-Bolt kills, then I believe, okay, he goes into the Mawile. So if he goes into the Mawile here, I think that means he's confident in letting Sizz not be able to set up. I believe L5, or I believe Zazo should just go for the damage here and go for the Fire Blast. But if that is Specs Raikou, I really don't think there's any chance for Zazo to set up, assuming Roserade is, of course, HP Fire. If it feels like Light Screen Clef or Light Screen Clef, or he T-waves the Roserade and got a full power up, but Zazo could also switch here perhaps because Play Rough is most likely coming out. If he's not a Wincon Scizor, he can go into that, chip the Mawile that way by going for a Bullet Punch, and then Salamence kills everything. The thing is, it still is revenged by the Raikou. So that's another route Zazo might want to take. I don't think he should go into the Clef, just because having the I think having the Clef in the back is the biggest thing stopping Raikou from just winning right here. But yeah, the turn 1 Dugtrio Doug Trio trap really just changed the entire momentum of the game. I know L5 is a big advocate of Doug Trio Bis Mega Mon while he drafted it in Sun Moon Cup, which he actually won, and he got it again in the redraft, and he paired it with Raikou as well. And when the ground is when the electric immunity Zazo had with Stun Fisk, that changed everything. Maybe Zazo could have brought like Shed Shell or something, as still would have been able to serve as a Raikou check while not being trapped by Dougie. But he wanted to live. He wanted to live in EQ, which I mean, I guess helps. I did say that the Zazo didn't get too much out of the rocks comparatively, but they have been doing very nice chip and getting stuff more easily in range of Scissor's Bullet Punch. So that's definitely something to consider. Also, you know, if Zazo were able to go to Fire Blast and crit just like he did last game, then that would also put him in a very bad position. I don't know if Raikou plus Rosary plus Hydra would be able to beat the last 3 Mons. Definitely a pretty intense end game though. L5 has had the upper hand for most of the game, but this Wallbreaker Salamence, special Wallbreaker Salamence, amazing bring by Zazo's end. Just no switch-ins for L5's end. Imagine if it. I'm still kind of dumbfounded at the play when Slowbro was at 10% and L5 just risked. Okay, he goes for the Fire Blast, does a million to the Mawile, and L5 clicks player up and knocks out the Salamence. And now it is in range of course, Scissor Bullet Punch, as I've been preaching. The damage on the Maw was huge, but the Scissor likely still needs an SD to win, and he can go into it now, but the Roserade is the biggest thing. The Roserade is healthy enough to live a unboosted Bullet Punch. Raikou might be close. I think Raikou would live, but still, it'll definitely need. Yeah, he goes into this. I definitely think this is SD Scizor, because of how Zazo tried to go, because of the route Zazo tried to go by Fire Blasting. Yeah, he goes into the Roserade, definitely the play. Roserade honestly might just win here, which is definitely a concern. It might need to be some gimmicky Clef Kebia or something, but yeah, that's why I think maybe going into the Scizor was the play. Because going to the Scizor versus the player off was the play. You could. I don't think the Scizor was ever getting an SD up, and Salamence plus Clef might have been able to do it. Assuming, or that is assuming that is a mixed Salamence and would be able to kill the Roserade at this amount of health. But yeah, L5 likely has this wrapped up. He's 100% HP Fire. HP Fire, Sludge Bomb, Spikes, which he already revealed. Not sure what the last move would be. Perhaps Giga Drain or something for the Toxapex that Zazo did have on the bench. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised Zazo didn't bring the Pex, but then again, with the Raikou, he probably didn't want a momentum draining mon such as the Pex. He's also running a bit low on time right now. He does Bullet Punch. That does a million, but yeah, that is gonna be the game. No Clef Set, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he drops the GG. No Clef Set will be able to bring him out of this one. Sludge Bomb, yeah, Sludge Bomb just OHKOs. So good game there. L5 had the upper hand for most of it. Trapping the Doug Trio turn 1 was huge, but Zazo tried to make it interesting by the Wallbreaker Salamence and getting stuff in range of Scizor, but L5 played well to prevent setup at all costs once that happened. So yeah, we will be next up with Game 3, which is ORAS soon. Alright, here we are with Game 3. Zazo versus L5. I'm gonna switch sides because we've been watching L5 on this side the whole series. But let's see. L5 bringing a very L5-esque team. I've seen him draft these Lottie, Mega Manetric, Ferrothorn type teams before he did it in March Madness once. Zazo drafting a very unique team, actually. So let me see what they benched real quick. I know. Let's see. All right, so L5 benched Monferno and Bisharp. It definitely makes sense from that end. Bisharp not looking bad, but looks hard to get in. There's the Mian Chao, which is a +2 sucker resist, and Torn can bop it with Heat Wave. And Zazo benched the Diancie and Sneasel. Sneasel looking hard to do anything really with the Azu, but it was a pursuit trap and threat for the Latios. But turn 1 Pharaoh versus Mega Venu. It's probably SN Power Fire and take it. And however, L5 or Zazo has no hazard removal. This is Oras. None of those mons get the fog, even though 3 of those would get him in Gen 7. But I feel like Zazo, Zazo might be able to get up his rocks. I think getting up his rocks is worth it. He doesn't need. Okay, he actually T-Waves. It is Oras. T-Wave is broken, so I definitely understand that play. But still, it's a Mega Venu, and I don't know. I'm not too keen on it, but if this is Rocks Gligar, then maybe get up that. He has 3 potential rockers, so I'm not going to say much. Could also be spikes on that Pharaoh, and T-Wave and that would make it easier to get up spikes later in on the game. The pivot into Gligar into U-turn probably covers a grass move, which Nido King would take a lot more from. What does L5 even go into now? If it's like Knock Venusaur, that'd be pretty annoying for the Latios. But yeah, he just Giga Drains. I don't understand that series of plays by L5. He was of course he would Giga the Gligar over the Ferrothorn. But even then, it might be worth for the Nido King to just get up the rocks here. They are so good versus Zazo. And Zazo, and like L5 does have 2 potential defoggers on his team, and he might be worried about hazards being worse for him because Zazo has spikes on Clefairy plus rocks on Golurk. But even then, maybe he'll pivot into the Latios here, as I think Zazo would just probably try and Giga to prevent the Nido from doing too much after the rocks. Luckily, Zazo probably doesn't have to worry about T-spikes coming out from this Nido King. Even though he has the Mega Venu, and it doesn't even force switches that much because the rest of the team isn't hurt that much by T-spikes. There's a Rotom-Wash, Torn, and a Klefki, of course. I feel like L5 could go into the Latios here. Okay, damn, he actually switches out the Mega Venu. I'm a bit surprised by that. I think I understand that, actually. If he Sludge Wave and got paired, that would make the team very weak to Mega Manetric. Mega Manetric is actually a huge threat right here, as the ground type is Golurk. Yeah, Zazo's having scuffed ground types, definitely making the series a bit more difficult in Sun, Moon, and Oras. That's definitely got to be Scarf Mian Chao or something to prevent. The Mega Venusaur also very nice for the Azu. So yeah, the more I look at it, maybe the T-Wave was worth. That does absolutely nothing. Holy moly, that's definitely something a fat AV Torn, likely for the Nido King and Latios specifically. Will it have Knock? Yeah, it has Knock, which is very good, and Gligar is able to roost up, so that's good. But still, I think L5 is content because he got his rocks up, and rocks are just fantastic versus Zazo's team. The Torn, and honestly, I think getting the rock sandwich versus the Venu is equally as important. Venu, of course, not having that passive recovery, making it harder and harder to wall the threats such as the Manetric and the Azu. Yeah, Zazo makes the non-quicker play. He knows he's faster and can U-turn out versus the Manetric. And yeah, that does very little. Spadef Golurk as the check. I wonder if L5 decides to not bring coverage for Golurk. That would definitely make it pretty annoying because it means next time he come in and he overheated, he have to switch as well in case he wants to. So on the offhand, if he had HP Ice or something, he would be able to just 2-hit KO it. But yeah, L5 goes into the Nidoking. I guess Ice Beam might kill. Even though it is a Spadef Golurk, Golurk's stats are just not at Chief. Alright, no, he just goes straight for the Sludge Wave, and that's a shit ton. I feel like you should have just gone to the Rotom there. Or the Torn there, because it should live anything, and you can Cane. Maybe Cane doesn't kill because it's a fat Torn, but regardless, the Rotom might be fast here, because that did do a million, but Azu looking more threatening and threatening. If it's just like Belly Drum, Aqua Jet, Play Rough, turn, it doesn't. I'm not sure how much chip the Venu needs. L5 might switch out here to be wary of a fast pump Rotom. So we shall see here. He does have responses to this Rotom. He might just sack off the Pharaoh, or he might go into the Latios because okay, yeah, it is a fast pump Rotom and the Nidoking dies. That is very good for Zazo. Puts less pressure on the Torn, and yeah, that Nidoking just was coming in on the Clef, and it would be able to come in on the Klefki, for example, and a lot of L5's offensive pressure just gone now. As it goes into the Latios as it DDs. Ooh, this is interesting. Might be Lumberry on this Latios. Might be Roselli Berry for Play Rough. Not quite sure. I'm not even entirely sure if this Klefki here has T-Wave. It doesn't look that good versus this team. Like there's a Manectric, there's like two of L5's offensive threats. Manectric and Nidoking just don't care. Okay, Toxics, and it is Lumberry. Yep. So is EQ gonna kill? It does not kill. So getting a T-Wave here over Toxic probably would have. Getting T-Wave here over Toxic probably would have been better because the Latios is still going to be able to claim some kills. It is able to click some Dragon moves for free. Yeah, if this is Outrage, there's no longer a Fairy Resist. So what does L5 sack, or what does Zazo sack is the question. It'll definitely be difficult. It might even have Zen Headbutt, so it might be able to kill the Venu from here, even though I still think Zazo should preserve the Venu. Yeah, I think that, yeah, definitely very good bring by L5. I think this is GG. I don't think there's any combination of mons that Zazo can keep that will be able to win him the game. Most expendable mon I'd say is probably the Torn. The Torn, obviously the Rotom, but he's gonna have to pick other choices. If this is Outrage on the Latios, and he might have to click it versus the Torn instead of Zen Headbutt. So that perhaps could like let him go into the Fat Venusaur and synthesis up, because I'm not sure if Outrage would do that much. But let's see. Even if this Torn just dies here to Zen Headbutt / Dragon Claw, I'm not quite sure if it will. It is pretty expendable, but Zazo will just have to lose so many mons, and frankly, okay, it does live. Oh shit, and it crits. That is huge. Holy shit, dude. L5's getting lucked hard. That means one less mon that L5 claims. Damn. So he can probably just go into his Rotom now. Holy fuck. That is game changing. Because now Zazo would probably sack off the Rotom as one of your sacks, unless he's really unconfident in being able to beat the Gligar. So yeah, he sacks Rotom, Golurk, Rotom, Golurk, or Torn, I'd say, or the Mienshao if it's not Scarfed, because then it wouldn't be able to outspeed the Mienshao, and also, then again, also bad for the Azu. Okay, yeah, he sacks off the Torn. Definitely makes sense. I agree with that. So now we have it doubled down. This is getting very juicy. So the Pharaoh's low, Gligar has its EV Light knocked off. Rotom is also low, Venusaur is parried, and Mienshao is at full. The Manectric, I think this might come down to the Manectric having, if it has a move to KO the Golurk, such as HP Ice. Okay, Venusaur and Manectric. This is definitely very good for L5 as it goes into the one thing that it couldn't break. Yeah, this Venusaur honestly probably might just be able to do it on its own. Although it is Gen 6 paralysis. We will see. He goes into the Ferrothorn and he starts lining up some spikes. Definitely what I do in L5's position. And okay, yeah, he goes into the Glider. I think this is over, but L5's really only win con would be to go to try and hopefully set up a spike and shuffle his team around. But this is likely GG. He will need some insane paralysis shenanigans. Maybe if he's still Belly Drum Azu, then he's able to let the Manectric die when the Venusaur is at somewhat low of HP. He has a paralysis on the Sludge Bomb or Giga Drain, then that might be able to do it. But besides that, definitely looking very grim for L5. Which honestly sucks a lot. The plus 2 superpower on the Scizor in Game 1 was a roll, unless he wasn't absolutely max defense on the Scizor, which I honestly think he was. It was clearly the dedicated Rillaboom response. Damn. I'm honestly not sure. I'm not sure how much the crit U-turn mattered, because this Venusaur might have been able to do it anyway. He probably just would have sacked the Rotom and probably would have just sacked the Rotom as well. And I'm not sure on the calcs. He might have needed to sack another Mon. Might have been Mienshao or Golurk, or even both, and preserve the Rotom. I still think he might have been able to do it with those two Mons. Okay, yeah, he Thunderbolts. He's going for these para shenanigans. He's just gonna Giga. Guess a crit there. That might be kind of nice. But even if Azu belly jumps, I'm not sure if I can +6 return. I know Azu gets bounce, but okay, belly jump. We'll see. And no para. Holy shit, Zazo didn't get parried once. And yeah, so no full paras. L5 definitely got very unlucky that a series. There's no denying that, which kind of is unfortunate to see this led to the tournament. However, both sides showcase just how good they are and why they made it this deep into the tournament. I still think there's a very fair chance Zazo could have won this game even without the U-turn crit on Latios, but I definitely don't think that Zazo would have been able to pull out Game 1 without the superpower crit on the Scizor. Maybe the Silvally might have done it. The SD Silvally might have done it, but I think the Chomp. I just don't think it would have been able to set up for free against a lot of the team. And maybe because the Chomp just went too ham at that point. But regardless, very good set between these two. We love seeing these sets go to 3 games. And Zazo is now 1 guaranteed money and 2 moving on to play Twix in the semifinals. That'll also be an amazing series, so look forward to that one. And yeah, thank you guys all for watching. Peace.